Let's start with a very simple question to warm up. What is the meaning of life? Well, maybe it's not so simple. For me, this is one of the most important questions out there. After all, we don't know how we came to life or why we are alive, so I guess that's a pretty natural question, right? So you may have your answer. You might pause the video and think a little bit about this. Let me give you my answer to start the discussion. And for me, the answer is nothing. There is no meaning in life. And don't take it negatively here. Because for some people, when you say that there is no meaning in life, they take it in a nihilistic sense, like in a negative sense. But actually it's a good thing, because if there is no meaning, that means that you can dictate the meaning of your life. Don't you think this is beautiful? For me it is. So finding your meaning in life, I think, has to be one of the biggest priorities if you haven't found it yet. Because the thing is, there will be two options. Either you work towards finding it, or society will give you one purpose, and chances are it's not gonna be what you really want. So finding your life purpose ultimately is about finding who you are, and chances are you don't know really who you are. And that's why you suffer in life, because you are not living an authentic life. So if you want to have a happy, fulfilling life, finding your life purpose is of crucial importance. Has to be your number one priority, if it's not yet. Because otherwise you will have a miserable life, and it doesn't matter if you make a ton of money, if you have a bunch of success, a nice family, a nice house, car, whatever. Deep down you will feel miserable, and you will resent it. And yes, you can distract yourself, buy more stuff, having nice experiences, but you know what? Nothing of that really matters. On the other hand, if you live your purpose, if your life is aligned to your purpose, no matter what you do, you will live a passionate life. You will have this burning desire within you, and you will do whatever it takes to accomplish it. You won't need entertainment anymore, because your life will be entertainment. Now, if you watch YouTube, whatever, I mean, sometimes I get logged out of my YouTube account, and they show you like the normal stuff what people watch, and it's rather pathetic. I mean, it's so low consciousness, the shit that is on YouTube. And it's pretty clear, no? Because most people, they have shitty lives and they need entertainment, they need being entertained, because they have to cover all the bullshit in their lives. Also, recently I heard quite a lot this phrase about life is a video game, which is a pretty cool idea, because this is telling you that you have to stop being an NPC, a fucking drone. You have to take control of your life. You have to become the protagonist of your game of life. But this idea is quite old, actually. More than 50 years ago, at least, Joseph Campbell coined the term the hero's journey, which is a quite interesting concept, because he discovered that most of ancient cultures share this idea of the hero's journey, which is essentially this concept of life as a video game, but brought to modern times. So it's a common theme among cultures that finding your meaning in life is crucial. And again, this is a personal quest. I cannot tell you what your life purpose is. So if you are into self-improvement, hopefully you are, if you are watching this, let me tell you the shortcut to self-actualize, to growth, and that is finding your life purpose. And as I mentioned, the reason of that is that this is an exercise about finding yourself, in a sense, or discovering your true nature. And I know that sounds a little bit goo-goo nonsense, but it's not. And it's a very personal quest. It cannot be outsourced. You cannot ask someone to tell you what's your life purpose. That's why most of people don't bother with that, because it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Because you will have to face your demons, your fears, your insecurities. A lot of people fantasize with this idea of living their purpose, but deep down they don't want to commit to that because they're afraid of failing. Because yeah, you may fail. And what do you do then? Your fantasies will disappear. And a lot of people would rather have the fantasy in their minds instead of trying to accomplish it. So you will need to know a couple of things about yourself in order to discover your life purpose. You will need to know what's your true personality, your values, your strengths and weaknesses, and your passions. So it will be quite a lot of work. And again, most of people are not interested in personal growth. They want to be the same. I mean, I don't know how old are you, but maybe you can relate with me. Maybe some people in your family, like 10, 20 years ago, they basically are the same person. Maybe they are older, of course. Physically, they have changed a little bit. Maybe they got fat or whatever, got white hair. but deep down, personality-wise, they're like the same. They haven't changed. Their values are the same, their beliefs are the same, more or less. Personally, if I think about like 10 years ago, I'm such a completely different person. I think that it would be irrecognizable. And even last year, I mean, I'm changing so much, and I'm pretty sure that in the next 5 to 10 years I will be a completely different person inside from what I am now. I will think I'm a fool the way I see my old self, such a fool. But that's what life's about, to evolve in all senses. Otherwise you are just degrading yourself. And I want to be clear, I don't want to blame you. I mean, it's so easy to get trapped living life, going through life, and just going with the flow, following what others are telling you to do. I was one of them. So there is nothing wrong with that. It's quite normal. But I just want to tell you, if you feel something deep inside that's not right, yeah, you are right. There is something wrong. Not with you necessarily, but you have to change something. But I understand you are afraid, and you have been brainwashed, your family, friends, whatever, during your whole life. So I want to tell you that you are not alone, and that's why I'm here, to take your hand and help you to see the light at the end of the tunnel, especially if you're having a dark time in your life now. Maybe you are depressed or with anxiety, having mental health issues. That's why I'm here, to try to help you, to give you my experience, because again, I'm not special. I'm just like you, ordinary human being that always been interested in, always been curious and interested in know what's there in the world. So I want you to walk this path together. That's what this channel is about. But even if your life is not bad necessarily, but it's also not great, it's like, it's okay, you're going through life, maybe you have a nice job, maybe you have a nice family, but it's not great. You would like to do something more. And again, it's not about the money necessarily, but you are a little bit dissatisfied with life. Maybe you can identify with this. I want to tell you that your life can be great and has to be great. You know what? It's your birthright. Living a great life is your birthright. But sadly, somehow it got removed from you at some point. But hopefully there is something there still, some burning desire to change things. That's the key. If you still have this burning desire to change, there is still hope. Hopefully that's why you're watching this video, because you still have hope that the future can be better for you. And it can be better for you. But I have to be honest, it's not easy to resist all the nonsense out there in society. It's so easy to believe their message of be realistic, or yeah, your ideas are too crazy, or you are too idealistic, or maybe you are too old, you are 30, you have to settle, have a family, have kids, a dog, house, I don't know. You should settle. You are too old to change careers. Maybe you spend 10 years of your life pursuing something and you realize it's not what you want to do. So you don't want to change it because it's already too late, right? Or it's impossible. What you're trying to do is impossible. Let me tell you something. All these are just a pile of bullshit. But it's very challenging to change those beliefs, because you have heard this so many times that you are programmed to believe that, and you think it's part of your reality. And in a sense it is. And you may have a couple of questions about this life purpose stuff. You may be asking, for example, but what if I choose the wrong one? You know, life is not rigid. It's not that you choose something and you have to stick it forever. Life is way more flexible than you may think you are. It's not that you want to become an engineer and you have to be an engineer the rest of your life. No. I mean, where is it written that? And I used to have this belief that, you know, I spent 10 years pursuing something, mathematics, and I have this idea that I couldn't be something else. I mean, especially after all this time, what else can I do? I mean, I don't have any skills. So it's very easy to fall into this trap. But not first of all, but also you have to know, you have to realize that, how do you know that's wrong? I mean, you need to start walking the path. You cannot just complain from your couch, you know. When you start walking the path, you will start discovering new things, even possibilities that you thought weren't available for you. So how do you know until you start walking the path? And even if you choose the wrong one, in the sense that, yeah, you may realize that's not the right thing, well, that's a learning. You will have learned lessons, skills, tools, and you can use this to work towards something different. So another question may be, what if I fail? And for this I have an easy answer. Watch my episode about failure is equal to improvement. Failure is necessary. You need to change your mindset about failure. Also, that's something that, for me, failure was the worst thing that could ever happen. And in our educational system, is so ingrained that, again, it's not a conspiracy theory, but if you fail, you get a bad grade, and that's bad. So you learn that you don't have to fail. You have to do everything correct. But life doesn't work that way. Quite the contrary. You need to fail a lot. It is necessary to improve, to get skills. That's the easiest way to learn something. To know how not to do things. And the same here. What do you mean by failure? First. Maybe, okay, you don't fulfill your goals, but you will learn lessons along the way. And in retrospective, your failures may be the biggest points in your life, the moments in your life that you realize, you know what, I have to do something different. And those may be the best moments in your life. And also it's important that you have a long-term view. This is a process that may take you 5 to 10 years. And today we want everything fast. If you look at YouTube or on the internet, people want everything fast. They want 6-pack abs fast. They want money fast. They want views on YouTube fast. Everything fast. Fast. No. Everything that's worthwhile takes time to develop. And also you have to enjoy the process. You have to find something that you enjoy the process. So it's crucial to change the framework to thinking long term and being okay with making a lot of mistakes along the way. And this is difficult, especially today. We see so much success in life thanks to the internet. We see all these success stories, all the 18-year-old millionaires, the crypto millionaires, whatever, so that you feel like you're shit, but it's not. Maybe they got lucky. You don't know really what happened behind. Maybe they worked their ass off also. Of course, you only see the success, but you usually don't see the hard work or the luck, whatever. You don't know. And as a consequence, a lot of people fail just before exploding their success. A lot of times the improvement is not linear, but is exponential, and most of the time you are growing so little, and here most people quit. But then if you continue a little bit more, it starts exploding like an exponential function. And that's the way grow a lot of time happens. So you have to be patient. This is a long-term process, and you have to be okay with that. Don't expect quick results. Another question may be, what if my vision is impossible? You may have like something that you want to do, but it's too crazy. You may think that you cannot do that now. And first, you don't know what's really impossible. How do you know that's impossible? Maybe it's impossible now because you don't have the skills and the know-how. But maybe in 5 to 10 years it will be possible. You don't know. And we tend to overestimate short-term goals but underestimate long-term goals. That's why it's good to have a long-term strategy, because yeah, maybe in 1 year you won't progress too much, less than what you expected, but in the long term you don't know really how much you can grow during this period. That's why it's actually important to have this long-term view. Because impossible may become possible. Another question could be, what if I'm not passionate about anything? Maybe I don't know what to do. And here there could be two main categories. The first one is that you really don't want a life purpose. I mean, a lot of people are okay with settling and having a mediocre life, and there is nothing wrong with that in the grand scheme of things. Remember that there is no meaning in life, so people can settle, that's fine. But probably if you are watching this video, you are not one of those people, and I hope that you still have this burning desire within you to change things. If you have this, and I want to, this is not a rational thing necessarily, you have to feel the emotion. If you have this emotion deep down inside you to want to change things, it's not too late. There is still hope for you. Or maybe you may be numb. Because maybe you are having a hard time, or maybe you are feeling pain, psychological pain, and you numb yourself with drugs, with parties, with video games. You want to numb yourself, and that's what maybe stopping you to having this, to showing this desire within you. That's why I'm an advocate of having a simple lifestyle, to being like a monk, not all the time, but 80% of the time, because this really forces you to see through all the bullshit. You cannot just escape. And maybe that's what happens to you. Maybe you are distracting yourself too much, so you cannot see reality as it is. And maybe there is deep down some desire within you to change things, but you cannot see it now because you are too distracted. So maybe you should check out my first video about how to free time in your life, lifestyle minimalism. So I think you are not in this first group of don't want to have a life purpose. So maybe you belong to the second category, that maybe you are too young. If you are under 25, chances are that you need to experience more about life. Maybe you are spending too much time playing video games, watching YouTube movies, or partying. And you need to stop distracting yourself and start exploring life, but not just playing video games. Maybe you need to read more books, attend different lectures of the university if you are at university, or online lectures. Now on the internet there are complete courses on the internet. You need to get more experience. If you can go to a different country, that would be great. Of course, it's not easy for everybody, but sometimes in university there are exchange programs. Talk to people, more people. Maybe you are afraid of that. that's a good experiment to face your fear of talking to people if you're afraid of that. So if you don't know what to do with life, if you feel you don't have any passions, is because again you are using all this energy, especially if you are young, you have a lot of energy within you, but you are wasting it masturbating or playing video games. And you need to cut that bullshit. And you need to redirect this energy towards finding your purpose in life. And I'm telling you, there is energy within you, but you are misusing it. Another question may be, I have a life purpose, so should I quit my job and start doing it? So if you're a lucky person that has a life purpose but hasn't started yet, doesn't mean that you have to quit your job right away. Don't be a fool, don't be reckless, be strategic and design an escape plan. You need to be able to support yourself, and probably you will need a couple of years to create a foundation and then quit your job. So don't be a fool, but start working. Don't wait for life to have everything settled for you. You have to start working on your free time. You maybe will need to work less to have more time for your purpose, and maybe you will need to live below your means for a while. So yeah, it won't be pretty, but it will be worthwhile. And the last question is, okay, I'm convinced. How do I find my life purpose? Well, that's a difficult question, and this will take hours and hours. I'm not claiming here to give you an answer to how to find your purpose. Rather, I'm trying to showing you the possibility that you can find your life purpose. Now, on the internet, you can find life purpose courses. There are several courses out there. You may check them out. I'm also in this process of honing my life purpose, so I will talk about this in the future. So stay focused and stay in touch with this work, because we will be talking more about this in the future. But if you are excited to find your life purpose, then look on the internet. Use the internet for good. So think of this as showing you the window, that there is a window. Maybe you are like think that you are trapped in a room, in a dark room. I'm telling you, look, there is a window there. Look there. And then you look there and you see the window. And then you open the window and you can start exploring. So that's the purpose of this video. So I try to address a couple of questions you may have regarding your purpose in life, how to find it. And you also may be wondering, how do you know about this? Or you may still be a little bit hesitant. You may say, you know what, but how do I do that? I don't know how. Maybe I'm too old. And I don't know if this will be that helpful, but I think that will be. So I want to talk a little bit briefly about my personal story. Can illustrate some of the mistakes I made so that you don't make them, and to show you that finding your life purpose is not easy, but can be extremely rewarding. So personally, I've always been interested about finding my life purpose, and I always been very curious, and I love to learn about everything. My interests were always all over the place. I was interested in history, in psychology, economics, politics, math, everything. And for me, it was always difficult to choose a career because I want to learn everything. But in our society, you have to specialize, you have to choose a career and stick to it. But for me, it was pretty difficult. I never was comfortable choosing only one option. So, but I didn't know any better back then, so I enrolled in engineering at university. Really, engineering was never a passion of me, but I didn't know what else to do. So I enrolled at university in engineering, and I realized pretty quickly that was not my thing. I dread the idea of working in an office with people. I don't know. No, didn't work for me. So in the first year, I decided that, you know what, I need to find something that I really want to do. So that was my objective for the rest of the year. I don't know, it was like half a year, and I realized that was not my thing. So I had half of the year to change careers. And soon I discovered mathematics, but the real mathematics, not the mathematics that at least they taught me at the school. I discovered I was quite naive. I mean, I didn't know really about mathematics, and I discovered that in university that real mathematics wasn't about applying formulas, but about proving theorems, and that's a highly creative endeavor. And I really found fascinating this idea of discovering new things, and that mathematics wasn't there were new things discovered even up to this day. For me, that was completely new. So I decided I want to become a mathematician. I found incredible, and also this idea of being a researcher, that you have this freedom to do whatever you want. I found it extremely compelling. I always enjoy and value freedom and independence, so that was like the perfect job for me. So I changed to mathematics, and I did it pretty well. I usually was between the best 3 students, and I got good grades along the way. I always did quite good. But from the first day, I discovered and I realized that I wasn't a math genius, and if I want to be a good mathematician, I will have to work a lot. But I never had trouble working a lot, so I studied a lot, and basically I didn't have a life during university. I mean, I had girlfriends, stuff like that, but I studied quite a lot. I didn't participate in university life that much. And also along the way, during my early 20s, maybe a little bit before, I don't know, I discovered personal development, and I really fell in love with the concept of improving yourself and changing your psyche, your mind. Because, I mean, if you think changing your body takes a lot of time, but you can change your mind quite quickly if you are open to it. So I started doing personal development along the way around 10 years ago. So I learned a lot of cool concepts. I learned the concept of mastery, that in order to accomplish anything in life, you need to think long term and spend 5 to 10 years working on your craft so that you become a master, an expert. I really like this idea. So I started doing that because I knew that if I want to do a PhD, eventually this will take the whole process 7 to 10 years. It's quite long. So it was okay for me. But there was a little problem, is that I wasn't that passionate about mathematics. I mean, it was a cool thing. I enjoyed doing it, but I wasn't crazy about that. And at university, there were people that ate mathematics, slept mathematics, cheat mathematics. I mean, they were completely obsessed, and it wasn't like that. So in a sense, I was in a disadvantage, because if those people would do mathematics 24/7 and they enjoyed doing it, they didn't do it because they were forced to, but because they love it, then I would be in a disadvantage, even though if I work a lot. And also I had this idea, which is bullshit, that whenever you do it, if you do it for a long time, eventually you will get passionate about this. This is complete nonsense. I fell into this trap, and I thought that, yeah, I mean, okay, maybe I'm not passionate about this, but if I work long enough, something within you will make click. That's not true. At least not for me. While on the other hand, like with personal development, I always found this natural instinct to do it, and actually I did a lot during my studies. But I was doing math anyways. So, and also I didn't like much teaching. But nothing's perfect, right? So after all, I would have the freedom to do my thing, or that's what I believe. So basically I was okay with the idea of sacrificing my 20s and 30s in order to get a position in academia, because that's a quite long journey. Even after your PhD, then you have to work for 5 or so years before you get a position, and then, I mean, it's a quite long process, but I was okay with that. Eventually I would get a position and I wouldn't have to worry about this, and I would be free. So, but also during this personal development journey, I discovered that somehow I want to be like a sort of independent researcher. I want to try to connect the dots. For me, big picture understanding is so important, and I love this idea of connecting different ideas. But in mathematics, it's quite the opposite. You have to really focus on one subject, and within this subject you have to specialize in one sub-subject. So it's quite the opposite. but I mean there is no such a thing in university, so you have to specialize. That's the way academia works now. You cannot just do everything. So, but I didn't know how to actualize this, so I pursued instead a PhD in mathematics, and I learned quite good amount of skills. I mean, you have to be self-motivated and self-disciplined. You have to have strong work ethics, and you also learn researcher skills. So you learn quite valuable skills, especially if I want to do some sort of research. But again, I wasn't that passionate. And after all, I was during my PhD. Well, you have to work on a couple of problems, but those were my advisor's problems. Those were my problems. But I went through it, and the good thing of doing a PhD is that you have a lot of freedom. So I could have my own schedule. So this was great, and also could do personal development on the side. So long story short, I don't want to bore you, but I want to go to the. I mean, this is not the end yet. So after a couple of years, well, I got the PhD. I got a prize actually in my university, like the best thesis, whatever. So I did quite well, and also I got a postdoc. That's a temporary job in Germany, where I am now, for 3 years. So, and I only had to apply to this position, so I was quite lucky. So everything was going well, and also before finishing my PhD, I started working with my soon-to-be advisor here in a project. So things were going quite well. I also start seeing the dark side of academia. I may do a video about this in the future because academia is full of bullshit, and you don't see that when you are starting, or you don't pay attention to it. And the amount of egos and petty fights, stupidity, I mean, you really, I find it quite disgusting, especially people that are supposedly to be smart. They take so seriously their reputation, or I don't know. But I was quite naive, so I really didn't pay too much attention to that. So I came to Germany, started working on my advisor's project again. It wasn't my problem, but it wasn't bad. It was an interesting project, so I started working on that. And coming here, also I learned quite a lot to be independent, to live by myself, which I really like. Also, where I live is a very nice place, so yeah, life was good. But again, I start to see more this bullshit, this politics. I really, you don't know how much crap there is in academia, and you don't know. You don't know until you are there. And also, the professors didn't during the semester. They didn't have that much time to do research. Anyways, they had to do the teaching and all the bureaucratic duties. So they have little time for doing research. But you know, after all, they were tenure, so I thought that would be perfect. That I wouldn't care having to do that if I had tenure. So I was doing okay. Wasn't great, but also wasn't bad. So was going through it. And again, long story short, at the beginning of this year, because that's where the story gets interesting. So I started working on a pretty big problem with my advisor about old conjecture, which would be great to show if we could do it. That would be a lot of prestige and would make my career. So I started working on that. I started working and working and working. Basically, I was working 6 days a week, all day. I became obsessed with this. So again, I don't have problem working and doing whatever it takes to accomplish something. So yeah, it was exhausting, but the price was also great, so I went through it. But after around 8 months of working on that, a huge problem arises. And that broke me. And that put a lot of pressure in me, because there was a big problem that needed to be solved fast. But after 8 months of doing this on and on without stopping, essentially, I was exhausted and really I was scared, because that was a threat to my career. And I'm not going to go into details, but the thing is that really I felt completely lost in life, because essentially, at least that's the way I was looking at it. But then all my dreams were to crap, essentially. All my aspirations were destroyed. But I couldn't afford to stop. I had to continue pushing it until the problem was fixed. But my body and my mind couldn't take it anymore. I was lost and hopeless, and I consider ending it all. Yeah, I thought about killing myself. I was completely lost. So my career was over, so I just gave up. I gave up to everything. To who I was, to my career, to everything. To all my identity, to everything. To my inauthentic life. So this was enough. I couldn't take it anymore. So I called my advisor in tears, because I was in tears. I was completely desperate. But I couldn't do this anymore. So I asked for a 2-week vacation. And because I was completely burnt out also. Right? So I took this 2-week vacation because I knew that was it. That was the end, and I need to figure out what the hell do I want to do with my life, because I cannot do this anymore. My career is over, and I don't want to do this shit anymore. So sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to realize how inauthentic you are. And that's why I'm trying to tell you this story. For me, back then, this was the worst thing that could ever happen. But now, this was the best thing that could ever happen. Because that day I realized that I was living an inauthentic life. I was full of fears and bullshit. And I couldn't take this anymore. And you know what happened? The next day, my first day of holidays, I woke up so full of energy. Free. I was free. For my first time in my life, I felt like I was completely reborn. The burnout disappeared, and even though I worked like crazy starting this project, because I knew that I had to do something related to this. I always knew it, but I was scared. But now all my fears disappear forever. That's why I know that you can remove your fears, because I don't fear anything. But I had to kill myself, my old self. In a sense, was extremely painful, but extremely liberating too. But you know what? That's great. Because now every day I have this burning passion within me. And that's what I want you to transmit to you, that you have to find something that makes you burning within, that you have so much energy that you want to change the world and change yourself. And you know what? I will do whatever it takes to accomplish it. And I don't care if I succeed or not. Actually, I know that I will succeed. It's clear to me. Because I'm almost 30, I cannot afford wasting any second of my life. This is my last chance, in a sense. And I do whatever it takes to accomplish it. So, it's too late? No, it's never late. No matter your life, how your life has been up to this point, it's never late. As soon as you have this burning desire to change within you. And I'm telling you, this can be extremely painful. But pain is something you cannot avoid. Pain is your biggest teacher. It's telling you something that's not right, and you cannot just avoid the pain and try to distract yourself. That's what you have been doing your whole life. That's what I was doing my whole life. Pain is your biggest teacher. You may need to reach your rock bottom, as I did, in order to realize that. Because if your life is okay, you won't have a compelling reason to change. But be careful, because I know that a lot of people in my situation would have killed themselves. And I think the reason it's that I didn't do it deep down is because I had this hope and I did a lot of personal development. But for a lot of people that's not the case, so be careful. And I will talk more about how to use pain as a tool for personal growth in the future, because I think that nobody is talking about this. We always want to avoid pain and misery, but I mean, that's in a sense it's natural, but you need to reframe how suffering works. And I will talk about this in the future because I think it's such an important concept. But that's topic for a new video. So like, subscribe and stay in touch, because this is just the beginning, and I really want to fill you with this passion, but this passion has to come within you. I cannot just motivate you. I can motivate you so far, but ultimately this desire has to come within you. And I hope that with this video I can help you to find this, because trust me, this will change your life. So I hope that we stay in touch, and subscribe to the newsletter, because all the backbone is there, and you will get weekly self-improvement concepts for free. So why not? So that's our full today. So, and see you soon.